Welcome back to Tribe Talks with Archer Point Retail. Today, our retail experts, Kayla Magnan and Thomas Nielsen, will be sharing how retailers are creating personalized and safe shopping experiences for customers by utilizing reservations. Let's go ahead and begin. Kayla, over to you.
Thank you, Suzanne, and a very happy new year to everyone. Welcome to another Tribe Talks Retail. Although it's clear the COVID-19 pandemic impacted almost every aspect of life to people all over the world, retail had to navigate many buzzwords and phrases like click and collect, the omni shopper, curbside, contactless. We could go on. But these 2020 trends and many others are turning into mottos for retail, adopting same-day shipping, contactless payments, and even contactless shopping experiences now as standard features. So to me, it seems retail has just once again pivoted through the chaos. I said it before, retail was already on the path of these offerings. The pandemic only accelerated the desires. And to example this, if we just go back to 2017, the buzz phrase was retail apocalypse. The online shopper had doomed retail, or so those rumors were touting. But how did retail react? By making better in-store experiences. And would that not be just revamping already in place retail spaces? Retail responds typically by accelerating features they're already pivoting to. Thomas, I think this is a great segue into our topic for today's session on reservations, and more so surrounding reservations in retail and verticals we were not accustomed to finding this service in just yet. Where I can bet most of us are familiar with reservations in luxury retail and hospitality sectors, but maybe not yet in fashion or with footwear, common grocery store trips, and many other scenarios that are now leaning into this by appointment model. And if we consider this recent survey from just 2 months ago, back in November 2020, of 1,000 US shoppers, less than a third will be returning to in-store routines after the pandemic. So Thomas, do you see reservations having an impact to these experiences for people not ready or maybe still iffy about that in-store shopping journey?
Yeah, thank you, Kayla. Well, I should start out by saying Happy New Year, Kayla, and Happy New Year to Suzanne and to all the participants on this Tribe Talk. And let me also say I'm glad to be here again in this new year and look forward to navigating whatever that has to come and whatever this year 21 can bring. I feel energized. But back to your question, Kayla, how reservation will impact these new routines? I think taking reservations would enhance any retail space and the overall experience. For one, it displays the safety by having better control of the number of the people in the store. And since we no longer can use the old phrase, oh, I know this person, I know the company, I know the owner, I trusted them before, it's now more about the retailers showing their customers the proof, the evidence that they are being safe. And what do I mean by saying safe is safe for the customers and of course safe for the retailers' employees. And Kayla, in addition to that, it also gives an exclusive feeling that the customer is one-on-one with the associate. And not to mention, with the right tools and technology, you can really impress the customer doing this in appointments.
Those are great points. And although we're hopeful for less restrictions to come, that normal we once were familiar with will be unsafe to many in our new journey, new in-store experience. So operating with reservations will provide a clear picture of how many are in the store, but who was in the store when, maybe even going as far as reviewing the customer's in-store shopping path. Using technology, we saw a heavy introduction early last year with customer mapping. The intention was to capture that useful data to help retailers rearrange, reposition, and respond to customers' hidden cues. But now I see retailers using these technologies in many ways to help facilitate scheduled sanitation times, provide more visual cues of safety, but just as you mentioned, with the right technology, retailers can keep in-store shopping fun.
Right. And if we think about some of these industries we already know with routine sanitation after each customer, but maybe are not as visually indicated as we need right now. For example, a hotel chain has incorporated more visual cues of their staff's completed cleaning protocols. And I think it's fair to say we're all familiar with the rooms made bed, folded and placed towels, and packaged toiletries, empty waste bins, and so on. But this hotel is signaling high-touch items like the remote control and the doors. These areas are now sanitized and now wrapped in one-time packages and labeled with stickers that indicate when the seal is broken. So when the new patron walks into the room, they can visually see the sanitation routine much more distinct. And these new activities before and after the reservation can be a little challenging to implement or incorporate into your business. This is why the appointment software would include and should include a task list feature to ensure these new procedures are followed. Like in my hotel example, those new cleaning visuals might have to be an assigned task until they become part of the standard routine that we expect for that specific industry.
That's a great example of new experiences all around, from the worker and from the customer. And it makes sense that your reservation application should allow for those pre and post task managements. But this has me thinking on a broader level. What do you think starts these new customer journey cycles first? Meaning, would the new customer expectations dictate these new operational guidelines, or do the new operational guidelines then dictate new customer expectations?
All right, I think that pretty much goes together. Regardless of what comes first, the other side will follow a new procedure. For example, let's take social distancing or distance shopping. What is expected here from the consumer? Definitely some new guidelines in the store, and most likely the customers will they would definitely expect some specific details on how the retailers are managing the capacity in the store. Maybe it's by appointments only. Then the retailer need clear steps or guidelines on how to make an appointment, what the customer needs to bring when they show up for an appointment, what should they expect when they arrive, and so on. Though the retailers should also be thinking about this experience from three aspects, three angles: from the customer, of course, from the employee, but they should also think about what impact a change like this will have to the operational structure. Retailers, goes without saying, that retailers can think about these at the same time while they assess the experience. So to get started with these appointments or taking appointments or reservations, the retailers could just review or think about, how does a customer make a reservation? How would they actually make a reservation with us? Will it be online? Would it be on the phone? Can employees who work from home take these reservation phone calls? What happens when the reservation is confirmed? Are emails sent out to the customers or customers? Internally, how is our team notified? Then, in addition to all that, how do the employees determine if the customer at the door actually has a reservation? How do we verify that it's actually the right customer? What is the steps if they don't? Is it handled right there on the spot, or is it handled in a different area of the store? Is it a completely different dedicated area somewhere offsite? Would there be enough staff to cover these added activities? That is definitely some of the things that the retailers would think about. And I know this is on a high level on these specific topics here, and I think it's more situational if one occurs as the first step to the other. Since in any case, our retailers have many different approaches based on their industry, their size, time of year, the number of staffs, and so on.
And let me expand on that, because I think it's important to highlight that providing a reservation experience and covering these expectations right away shows your customers safety, as we mentioned, but it's also building trust with that customer, which is leading us to a similar topic from our Tribe Talk that we hosted at the start of lockdowns surrounding customer engagement and brand loyalty. Though that talk was more directed towards how to keep your customers engaged and loyal to your brand, especially during times of crisis, we learned the key in almost all instances is communication. So relating to these appointments and reservation examples, communicate the safety measures you're taking, rules everyone needs to follow, steps if you're providing new services. Maybe share a list of common if-then scenarios, and of course, provide an easy way to contact your team, whether it's email, phone, or through a chat portal. And just as you mentioned, don't forget the employees and any operational impact. Provide an easy way for your customers to provide feedback, but also your employees should be providing feedback on what is or is not working well.
Great. That's another great point, Kayla. And I also remember for that session, we talked about how important it is to interact with your customers at all times. And not just for promoting the newest items or promotions or any upcoming sales. Communicating the right data at the right time to the right customer is crucial. We are all familiar with the customer satisfaction surveys, and we've seen at the bottom of the receipt, or we got some follow-up email. And they typically go along like, hey, how was your experience? How did our staff treat you? Rate your transaction and so on. But in our opinion, these transactions or these questions should be asked throughout the customer journey, especially when you're offering new products and new services. And as we mentioned before, when it comes to the customer interactions, keep creativity in mind.
I agree and can even share from personal experiences. I've provided lots of honest feedback on various platforms through emails, text messages, and on various social channels. And there are many cases I'm replying just because it's quick and convenient. For example, the associate asks a simple question in the beginning or end of our transaction, that rating scale in the body of the email with the receipt. But really, to be honest, with my experience, it's just what you said, the right touch points at the right time. Where I think here it's best to encourage retailers to experiment with all these interactive platforms, creating polls on your social media pages, using your email list to trigger feedback from specific criteria. We talked before about searching your customer database to entice those who have not shopped in a certain amount of months, or those simple automatic follow-up emails from the recent transaction. But I think retailers can get super creative when using all of these consumer touch points, especially now that many consumers are fully committing to a paperless electronic world. So think beyond a link to a survey or a simple rating scale. Use these interactive points to gather specific data that can tailor the shopping experience to that customer. So for example, during an online booking, use that platform to better identify your client. Simple questions like favorite color, material, style, whatever is relevant to that booking session, just get specific. And then that information can be used at later times, like during the appointment or even after the transaction and follow-up emails. Direct them to community forums, videos, other product testimonials, keeping that communication ongoing, but benefiting and specific to that customer.
Kayla, I think it's very important to highlight experimenting here. It should be a focus for the retailers. Try and test out response forums, especially new ones, and switch them up where forums are used. Some platforms may provide better responses with certain interactions. So while it might be obvious to the audience here, keep a record of these metrics. Identify a pattern or themes, as all feedback can help you pivot your retail operation or maybe even the entire retail experience. For starters, or what we could, for example, we could start out with the staff asking a simple question. How easy was it for you to book this reservation? Then they can enter all this feedback in an internal system, and based on the customer's response, we can directly share this feedback with the head office, regional manager, or operation manager to make any process changes and adjustments as necessary.
Exactly. As we move into this new customer journey and new shopping experience, this is the perfect time for retailers to show safety, build trust, and provide exclusivity to the individual customer. We know the use of reservations is a common model with restaurants, medical facilities, luxury services like spas and salons, even one-on-one sessions like personal training. But for example, think of apparel in-store shopping and how it could benefit from a reservation. Like if there are basic questions during that online booking process, such as, are you a new or returning customer? What are you viewing today? You can have them select from your categories like pants, tops, or dresses, or even have them get more specific on what they're shopping for. Those options can look like a gift, maybe they're just for themselves, or an outfit. The idea is to gather details that will equip the associate to be ready for the customer's interests. Or if you have that customer select the items they're interested in viewing, the associate then could have some items that are complementing to the ones that the customer selected. And again, remember communicating, sending reminders of the appointment time, maybe even show them the items they selected they're interested in. And you can even send reminders of your safety guidelines and protocol. And not to navigate us too far off topic, but I'm thinking creatively, and just by incorporating mobile technology during the appointment, retailers can then create a unique experience and are always able to capture feedback and data from the customer. Having a device at hand gives staff quick access to customer data like previous order history, or if it's a new customer, the ability to capture that customer profile, again, gathering basic details, maybe some interests like sportswear, accessories, or identify how many members are in the family, and then immediately provide relevant product information.
Yeah, I really like this, and I find it super interesting. Is there any chance, Kayla, you maybe can provide a little bit more details on these creative ideas you're thinking about when it comes to the appointments-based shopping?
Absolutely. Even before the acceleration of every retail business offering these appointment-based shopping, we can look at sectors that provided these experiences to help start our creativity. So let's take, for example, the luxury retail. I know of a Canadian home goods store that has been by appointment only since their business opening. And it's not just a reservation of a time slot where you can then freely walk about and look at the ready-to-go furniture and storage. You select items online and basically create your showroom based on those items. When you walk into the store, displayed are the items you selected, but you can also opt for a designer input. So then items are also placed in your showroom suggested from a professional interior designer. And this is high-end furniture pre-pandemic, which some have familiarity with these shopping experiences, while others are experiencing this excitement for the first time. And again, getting creative and leveraging mobile technology during the appointment, because remember, any data entered into the device can be stored in your system's database. So even if the customer didn't purchase the item they selected to view, maybe unpurchased items are marked in a section in their loyalty account. Or retailers can just use that data to send follow-up emails, similarly to the have not shopped in X month criteria, but using those items directly from the shopping appointment to get specific to the customer.
Yeah, that's really cool and exciting, Kayla. I don't know if I mentioned to you, but I bought an apartment here in New York City, and so I'm in furniture shopping mode. And the other day on the way back from work, I walked past a furniture store, and I noticed a big sign outside and what the opening hours, and they had one specific day just for appointment. You can only get into the store if you have an appointment. And this store is actually, or this chain is actually open Monday to Sunday, but and Monday to Sunday you can walk in, except for Thursday, it's only appointments only. And that is just to show that do what works for you and your business, and maybe it's specific to an industry. The furniture store you mentioned in Canada is by appointment only. The one here in New York only had one day for appointments, but I'm sure after this pandemic, I think you'll see more of that in this industry. But Kayla, let me go back and ask you, in your example, I got a little curious here. If the items were selected online during the appointment in store, would the associate be walking around with you?
I would definitely think an associate guide would enhance that customer experience, but initially I think that depends on how the retailer is marketing the reservation. Is it a shopping slot or an appointment? To
Mm,
me, an appointment, I think one-on-one with a staff member, and it's emphasizing the retailer is exclusively for me, the customer. And again, get creative with technology, use mobile devices as the reservation assistant. With a device at the associate's hand, they can provide better insight by having all the relevant data accessible to answer any common question, like, can you check the item inventory, search for nearby stores, retrieve my customer purchase history, loyalty benefits, active coupons. But these devices can also create orders that ship directly to the customer, take payments right on spot, and also leverage artificial intelligence to suggest more items. And taking this even more creatively, capture pictures or customer comments during the appointment and send that data all as follow-up emails. Or here's where we can capture some of that customer journey feedback, as you mentioned.
exactly, Kayla. And I think it's important to mention here that from an internal perspective, from the retailer side, this does not have to be a huge project, an overwhelming undertaking. We can start small and incorporate one step at a time. And what do I mean? Well, maybe you start by taking reservations through one channel, and maybe that is through phone calls at first. This may be a manual approach to start, but it will allow easier trial of your processes and easier flexibility for changes. Or you could also consider a new POS layout for the staff to better service your appointment customers. I'm thinking more about displaying more customer information like the attributes and the loyalty benefits. And we also suggest that you add an area to mark for internal comments. This is important, and especially if this is a new offering to your operation. Make sure you're providing those areas for the staff and the customer to enter feedback, because in every operation, during any scenario, the customer service will always significantly impact your customer's loyalty.
Exactly. And let me just interject with a recent study citing that good customer service will actually increase a purchase possibility by
Mhm.
over 42%. And although we know just one disappointing interaction has a high chance of losing that customer almost forever, we did see statistics during the lockdown chaos that consumers were looking back at brands they once shopped at to give them a try again, and saw consumers were even more likely to try a completely new brand, though many of these new brand and back to brand purchase decisions were being influenced by item availability, guidelines on safety, delivery and payment methods offered. So it should be clear how important communication is for attracting, keeping, but also winning back customers. And I think for good customer service, you basically said it already, Thomas. The key is to communicate at the right time.
Absolutely, Kayla. And I think it's also important to mention here that the consumer's paths to purchase have become increasingly digital first. However, retailers are still tasked with delivering an exceptional customer service from discovery, and what do I mean discovery, in the beginning, before the customer even made a purchase, all the way through to the checkout, and now also post-purchase. Consumers are expecting relevant information delivered timely. And with the right technology and tools, retailers can provide me, meaning the consumer, my relevant information at the right time. With some of these creatives we discussed today with appointments, it's easy for me to see how the retailers can incorporate technology to maintain a high level of customer service satisfaction.
So I think this is just proving my retail theory once again, navigating through the chaos by accelerating the retail features we were already developing. And while we did discuss some creative ways to use appointments and reservations, Thomas, I think this is a good time that we invite everyone to join us for our solution demonstration featuring LS Activity. In this session, we'll show how any retail business using LS Nav or LS Central can easily and quickly incorporate these reservations and appointments into their standard offerings, and not just for shopping scenarios. Since we saw retailers using reservation-based applications to eliminate physically standing in any line. So, for example, grocery stores were using reservation time slots to shop, but then when the store was at capacity, you would wait in a virtual queue. And many of us experienced this virtual lining at medical facilities, DMVs, and other administrative offices.
Yeah, we all tried that by now, I'm sure. And another way to use appointments, eliminate physical interaction, and keep that human connection is through virtual appointments, or as we commonly hear these days, Zoom meetings. We shared examples in previous Tribe Talks of hosting one-on-one expert sessions where your customers can get advice while they be provided a virtual shopping experience. Maybe to be unique or get creative, you send them a questionnaire and request their sizes, and you will then send a box of items to try on, obviously at home, during this Zoom meeting session. Or you could get some of your customers or the entire customer base together for a virtual event. I feel there's a lot of fun and creative ways to apply technology, and not only to enhance your store experience, but also your store capabilities.
Thomas, you and I can always get so explorative when we're talking creativity with technology and retail. I'm beyond excited for our upcoming presentation of LS Activity. I cannot wait to see the solution in action with these appointment scenarios for any retail space. So with that, I'll hand it back to Suzanne. She's put the demo session registration link on screen, and she'll add it into the chat box and wrap up the session.
Well, thank you both, Thomas and Kayla. Please do join us, everyone, for our next webinar, Creating Amazing Event and Booking Experiences with LS Activities, a demonstration of the functionality you can use in your business to execute on the concepts we've discussed in today's Tribe Talk. Thank you all so very much for your time today. We look forward to seeing you next month.
Thanks for watching this Archer Point video. If you found it helpful, make sure to check out our website and blog at www.archerpoint.com. Additionally, if you have any questions regarding our products, services, or information in this video, feel free to email us at info@archerpoint.com. Thanks.